Good morning everyone, Sunna is coming out soon, so I want to talk about my opinion on the analysis on her pre-release. Though this opinion may change tomorrow after some more intensive testing, Sunna looks like to be a decent but very specialized support for some very specific DPS to be strong. Different than Astra who can support Attacker, Anomaly, and even Rapture very well due to her generalized and strong supportive capability. On the other side, Yuza provides a very specialized Anomaly buff with the Anomaly Doldat and damage buff that so far she's the only one that's capable to do it in the game, though you can make unique playstyle for some team to be possible, which is fun for team building, but this most of the time will only be successful with her Mindscape, and there will always be an alternative teams that performs better with lower cost. And that's how I honestly see Sunna will be. Based on her design, Sunna will be a specialized Ether Veil support outside of Fracture, so only Attacker and maybe some Anomaly. But even with Attacker Agent, most of the Attacker Agent will have a higher damage ceiling with Astra than with Sunna. Of course, with more investment on her, Sunna will be a great general support. Her M1 gives depth threat, that's always good, and her M2 that increases the multiplier of the additional damage given by her is quite significant. But at base, M0W0 Astra will always be better than M0W0 Sunna. But this has some huge asterisks on which DPS where Sunna will be better than Astra. We will talk about that more later. Let's get to know Sunna a bit more first. She gives 1050 attack buff based on her initial attack. She needs 3500 initial attack for the full buff. This is a higher attack requirement than Astra. And if you're building her on 4-piece Moonlight Lullaby instead of 4-piece Astral, which probably will be the case most of the time, her attack percent substat requirement will be quite a lot with attack percent this 4, 5, and maybe 6. There's also plus 50 attack given from the Ether Veil she activates. This attack buff basically activates 100% of the time as long as you swap to her and use her EX from time to time. She gives additional damage to the DPS that's treated as their own damage dealing and use the DPS stat for damage calculation. This is nice, but I don't feel like it would be that huge. The frequency of this additional damage depends on her Claw Sharpener stacks. She gains 2 from Ether Veil activation from the team including herself, 1 from Anomaly application, and 6 from her ultimate. She can hold max 6 stack with no overflow stack saving. The second way of her claw stack generation is obviously will be utilized more by Arya. Attribute Anomaly application in an attacker team will be around 3 to 5 times per fight, so not that much. But as it stands, this is merely a bonus from her kit. It might make DPS agent with lower multiplier feels a lot stronger, but considering how much of the hit requirement for the additional damage to be triggered outside of stun and the claw stack generation itself, it's not gonna be a game changer. The value of support agent in ZZZ as a damage amplifier is to take the already high damage multiplier of the DPS and add to it or multiply it with their buffs to get a higher damage. Unless we get a new agent kit that synergizes with this additional damage kit more in the future, this part of Sunna kit will probably be forgettable most of the time. Her additional ability is strong. She will be the first agent that can give stun multiplier debuff at base outside of the stunner agent archetype. And the free 15 energy at the start is very good to jumpstart her buffing in fight. Stun damage multiplier is good, especially for bosses such as Defiler and Fiend who only have 125% by stun multiplier, though the requirement is pretty strict, making Sunna can only fully buff attack agent. Outside of that, you will need another Angel of Delusion agent. For example, Alice, Sunna, Yuzuha would probably still be a decent team, but swapping Sunna with Vivian or Trigger Hill will be a better option. To validate Sunna with Alice, we need to swap Yuzuha with Arya or Nanggongyu, which I don't think is a good idea, since Alice and Yuzuha synergy is stronger. There's also some important thing that needs to be pointed out about Sunna additional ability. Stun damage debuff is strong only if we get high stun window count. In this case, Ye Shunguang, who can get 10 stun window easy with Sunna through her transformation, or the second option would be to pair her with a stunner to enable this debuff as much as possible. Unless the boss matchup is Typhoon or maybe UCC that has a dazing mechanic in its fight. Nanggongyu probably will be Sunna best stunner for general use case. Maybe, we'll have to see that later. Sunna signature is good. Do you need it? No. Compared to Kaboom, the upgrade from a signature is the passive 0.6 ER and the damage percent. Damage wise, it's not that huge of an upgrade. Rotation wise, you'll still get 100% buff uptime even with Kaboom. And 0.6 ER will help for Ye Xingguang use case where you want to use Sunna EX as much as possible for Aetherfield generation. But even so, it might be overkill on miasmic enemy fight like the creator that gives free energy after miasmic purification. Sunna signature gives you ease of build for her. Because of the huge energy regen, you can build Sunna with attack this 4, 5, and 6. While with Kaboom, there might be some cases that you want to use ER this 6, which means getting high attack substat build or sacrificing some attack buff. But if given the option between her signature or her M1, I would choose her M1. Now let's talk about the team where Sunna will be able to fill in. First off, it will always be a possibility that Sunna will be a best in-slot support for any agent just because of the DA buff Aetherfield requirement. If there is a scenario where the only attacker buff in the season is a Ye Xingguang buff, then Sunna might be a better support to Soldier 11 than Astra just because of this. But the next discussion will talk in a generalistic manner and in an M0W1 base. First off, Sunna undeniable best in slot and her meta placement will be with Ye Xingguang and Arya. For Ye Xingguang, most likely you will swap out Zhao for Sunna, because they basically buff the same aspect, but Sunna has higher rate of Aetherfield generation, so far higher that you could even increase Ye Xingguang transformation count from 10 with Zhao to 12 with Sunna. Swapping Dial-In with Sunna so that you can use Dial-In for other DPS is also a choice, but this team is weaker than Dial-In Sunna. And Arya is the new upcoming DPS that being pushed by the game marketing itself, and most likely designed to work best when paired with Sunna and Nangongyu. Regarding Evelynn, I believe that Astra will still be a better choice for higher score ceiling, whoever the stunner will be Dial-In or lighter. But both teams will still play with the same average performance overall. This also applies to Soldier 11. I still believe that Astra is better for her, but Sunna is honestly easier to pilot than Astra in this team. Especially, tracking 3 Astral Voice stack for the DPS and eyeballing Astra energy bar so that the next EX buff will be given to the DPS instead of a stunner is a hassle. Sunna wins at the ease of use, but Astra wins on the damage ceilings. But at the end of the day, they both still will be in the same damage bracket in this case. Now this is something hard for me to analyze now. How good is Sunna for Siren Orphe? For now, the third available option would be Trigger, Astra, or Dial-In. Sunna can potentially fill this spot too. This is something that I will try on the current season UCC after Sunna release later. For context, at Season 21, Sid Orphe can kill UCC at M0 baseline with both Trigger and Astra as third slot, thanks to the double attacker specific TA buff. Current season UCC, it doesn't look like M0 kill is possible. But maybe, with Sunna enabling Ye Xingguang buff for Sid and Orphe, there will be some significant upgrade. But one thing that I'm sure is that if there's no Aetherfield requirement on the DA buff, Trigger would still be better for Sid and Orphe team. Lastly, I do really want to see how good anomaly team outside of Arya will work with Sunna. Two teams that I want to test would be Alice and Miyabi with Sunna and Yuza double support. Alice Monophysical is always a strong option for Alice because of her ability to weave Polarized Assault in her rotation for disorders. And maybe both Sunna and Yuza will generate enough physical anomaly buildup to proc disorder for Miyabi Fallen Frost tech generation. This is a copium team, but I still wanna test this later. That's pretty much my pre-release opinion on Sunna right now. I hope you guys pull on her will be good if you are planning to pull her. Tune in by subscribing if you want to see my testing on Sunna teams and my opinion on her post-release 2 later. I hope this video helps you and see you next time.